What if Harry Dresden invaded Warhammer 40k? The alley smells like rain and burning copper. Harry Dresden's staff crackles with power as he faces the demon, its eyes like molten glass, its claws scraping reality itself. Chicago's winter air bites at his duster. He knows this dance. He's fought worse. The demon lunges. Harry raises his blasting rod, mutters the words, feels the magic surge through his blood like lightning finding ground. But something goes wrong. The air doesn't just crack, it tears. Behind the demon, reality splits open like a wound, and what pours through isn't hellfire or fey magic. It's something older, colder, vast beyond comprehension. The demon screams and vanishes. Harry tries to run, but the tear pulls at him like a black hole made of whispers and frozen stars. He reaches for his staff. His fingers close on nothing. Then the world swallows him whole. He awakens to the smell of oil and incense and 10,000 years of despair. The sky above isn't sky at all. It's a ceiling of corroded metal stretching into shadows, lit by flickering lumen strips that buzz like dying insects. Around him, hundreds of thousands of people shuffle through streets that shouldn't exist, carved into the side of a structure so massive it makes mountains look like toys. They wear rags. They mutter prayers. Servo skulls drift overhead, their eye sockets glowing red, watching everything. Harry tries to stand, and his body screams. He's bruised, his coat is torn, his staff is gone. But worse than the pain is the feeling in his bones, the sight he was born with, the wizard's curse that lets him see the truth of things. And the truth here is simple. This place is wrong, not evil, not corrupted, just wrong, like a universe that forgot what hope looked like. A voice crackles from a voxcaster mounted on a nearby wall. Blessed is the day's labor. Blessed is the Emperor's mercy. Bleu. Est are those who die in his service. The words loop endlessly, echoing through the hive like a heartbeat made of propaganda. Harry stumbles forward, tries to get his bearings. The people ignore him, their eyes glazed with exhaustion and faith. A child walks past, clutching a crude Aquila pendant. An old woman collapses against a wall, coughing blood, and no one stops. No one even looks. This isn't Chicago. This isn't Earth. This isn't anywhere he's ever seen in any war, any nightmare, any case file Bob ever showed him. The walls are too tall. The air tastes like rust and prayer. And somewhere deep in his skull, Harry hears something whispering in a language that isn't a language at all, just raw meaning poured into his mind like acid. "Excuse me," Harry says, grabbing a passing worker by the shoulder. The man flinches like Harry just threatened to execute him. His eyes are wide, terrified. "Where am I? What city is this?" The worker stammers, looks around like he's searching for guards, then whispers one word, "Tarsus." Then he tears free and runs, disappearing into the crowd. Harry watches him go. Tarsus, never heard of it. He checks his pockets. No phone, no pentacle. His shield bracelet is cracked. His blasting rod is gone. He's alone in a city of billions, and every instinct he has, the instincts that kept him alive through vampires and fey courts and fallen angels, is screaming one simple message: get out now. But there's nowhere to go. The hive stretches endlessly in every direction, a labyrinth of metal and devotion and human suffering compressed into architecture. Harry moves through the crowds, trying to think. He's been dropped into weird places before. Fairy, the Never Never. Once, memorially, into a pocket dimension ruled by a mad sorcerer with a god complex. But this feels different. The magic here, if that's even what it is, doesn't follow any rules he knows. It's not elemental, it's not sponsored, it's not even demonic in the way he understands demons. It's like the universe itself is sick, and the sickness has a voice, and the voice wants inside his head. He pushes the feeling away, focuses on survival, food, shelter, information, then a way home. Simple, except nothing here is simple. A patrol of armored figures marches past, Arbites, though Harry doesn't know the word yet, and their helmets turn toward him. One of them stops, points. Harry's heart hammers. He didn't do anything. He's just standing here. But the Arbites raises a Vox unit and says something Harry can't hear. Somewhere above, in a spire that pierces the hive's artificial sky, a woman in black armor receives a report. She is Inquisitor Vasca Kyle, servant of the Ordo Hereticus, and she has spent 30 years hunting witches. The report says a man appeared in Tarsis Lower 3 hours ago. He wears strange clothing. He speaks Gothic with an accent that doesn't match any known world. Witnesses claim he radiates cold. Others say they felt him looking at their souls. Vasca's augmetic eye flickers, analyzing the data. Rogue psyker, possible warp incursion, threat level escalating. She closes the report and stands, her power armor humming to life. "Prepare a suppression team," she says to her acolytes. "If it breathes the warp, it dies before nightfall." Her voice is calm. She's done this 1,000 times. But something in the report bothers her. The man didn't attack anyone, didn't preach, didn't summon. He just asked where he was. Vasca dismisses the thought. Mere sus. Sigh is heresy. Compassion is corruption. In the Emperor's name she will burn the witch before he damns them all. Harry doesn't see the Inquisition coming. He only sees the crowd's part. He only hears the hum of power armor and the click of bolt pistols being primed. He only feels the cold certainty settling into his chest. He's about to fight people who think they're the good guys, and in this universe, maybe they are. A voice booms from the approaching squad, amplified by Vox speakers. "Psyker, surrender in the Emperor's name." Harry raises his hand slowly. He doesn't understand the words, but he understands the tone. It's the same tone cops use right before things go bad. "I'm not your enemy," he says, knowing they won't believe him. The squad leader raises a bolter. Harry feels the air around him start to hum, his magic reacting to fear and adrenaline, reaching for the thing it always reaches for, fire. But this time the fire doesn't come from him. It comes from somewhere else, somewhere vast and hungry and impossibly far away. The warp smiles, and Harry Dresden, Wizard of Chicago, realizes he's made a terrible mistake. If you want to see what happens when a man who fights for hope enters a galaxy that has forgotten the word, when magic meets the warp and morality collides with faith, then stay with me. Subscribe, because this story doesn't end in victory. It ends in fire. And maybe, just maybe, in a choice that will define whether Harry Dresden becomes a legend or another forgotten heretic burned in the Emperor's name. The galaxy is vast, the darkness is endless, and you're about to witness what happens when one good man tries to survive the 41st millennium. Let's continue. The fire doesn't obey him. That's the first sign something is catastrophically wrong. Harry's used his magic 1,000 times. Flame responds to will, to focus, to the careful balance between power and control. But this fire wants things. It writhes in the air like a living creature, flickering between orange and a sickly purple that shouldn't exist in any spectrum Harry knows. The Arbites stumble backward, their helmets' auto-senses screaming warnings. The crowd scatters, people trampling each other to escape. Harry tries to pull the magic back, to smother it, but it's like trying to stop a river with his bare hands. The flames lick at the metal walls, and for just a second, one terrible second, Harry hears laughter. Not his laughter, not human laughter, something vast and delighted and utterly insane, laughing at the joke of a wizard trying to be good in a galaxy that punishes goodness like a disease. He slams his will down hard, gasping, and the fire dies, just dies. Not gradually, it vanishes like someone flipped a switch, leaving only smoke and the smell of burned ozone and something sweetly rotten. Harry's hands shake, his heart hammers against his ribs. The Arbites are shouting into their Vox units, calling for backup, for inquisitorial support, for someone who knows how to handle warp-touched abominations. Harry doesn't wait to see what comes next. He runs, not with any plan, not with any direction, just away. Through corridors that twist like intestines, past shrines where people kneel before statues of a golden figure Harry doesn't recognize, past workers who see him coming and press themselves against the walls, making warding signs with trembling fingers. He's not just a stranger anymore, he's a witch, a monster, a thing that shouldn't exist. And in the 41st millennium, things that shouldn't exist are purged with fire and faith and absolutely zero hesitation. Harry finds shelter in the ruins of what might have been a manufactorum, now abandoned, its machines silent and rusted. He collapses against a wall, breathing hard, trying to make sense of what just happened. His magic has never felt like that. never felt alive in a way separate from himself. In Chicago, magic is personal. It comes from the soul, from belief, from the careful accumulation of will and knowledge. Here, it's like sticking his hand into a river of screaming colors and hoping something doesn't pull him under. He closes his eyes, tries to center himself the way his old mentor taught him. Find the quiet place, find the core. But there is no quiet place. The whispers are everywhere now, scratching at the inside of his skull. Words that aren't words. Promises that aren't promises. A voice offering power, offering answers, offering everything he needs to survive this nightmare, if he'll just listen. He opens his eyes and the shadows are moving wrong. They shouldn't be moving at all. The light is constant, the flickering lumen strips unchanging, but the shadows writhe like they're breathing. Harry gets to his feet, every instinct screaming. He's seen bad magic before. He's fought warlocks who sold their souls for power. He's stared down fallen angels and things that wore human skin like Halloween costumes. But this is different. This isn't evil trying to seduce him with clever arguments or twisted logic. This is something that doesn't care about good or evil at all. It's just hunger, infinite and patient, waiting for him to slip, waiting for exhaustion or desperation or one moment of weakness. And Harry realizes with cold certainty, his magic here isn't just dangerous to others, it's dangerous to him. Every time he uses it, he's opening a door, and something on the other side is very interested in walking through. Miles above, in her spire chambers, Inquisitor Vasca Kyle reviews the incident footage. Her augmetic eye replays the scene frame by frame, the unauthorized psyker manifesting purple warp fire, the reality distortion, the screams of citizens exposed to unsanctioned phenomena. She's seen this before. Rogue psykers always start the same way. Confusion, fear, accidental manifestations. They always claim ignorance. They always beg for mercy, and they always damn entire worlds if left unchecked. Vasca keys open a secure channel to her acolyte, Ren, a former guardsman turned inquisitorial agent. The target is confirmed unstable, she says. Warp resonance beyond acceptable thresholds. Prepare sanctioned psykers for containment. If containment fails, authorization is granted for terminal purge. Ren's voice crackles back. Understood, Inquisitor. Emperor protects. Vasca closes the channel. She doesn't enjoy this work, but enjoyment is irrelevant. In the Imperium, one corrupted soul can birth 1,000 demons. Better to burn the innocent than risk the guilty. Harry doesn't know he's being hunted by professionals. He only knows he needs information. He needs to understand where he is, what this place is, why his magic feels like it's trying to kill him every time he breathes wrong. He spots a young woman huddled near a broken conveyor belt, clutching a data slate. She looks different from the other workers, cleaner, less broken, with the cautious awareness of someone who hasn't been ground down by decades of labor. Harry approaches slowly, hands visible, trying to look non-threatening. "Hey," he says softly, "I need help." The woman looks up, eyes wide, and Harry sees fear, but also calculation. She's measuring him, deciding if he's worth the risk. "You're the witch," she whispers. Not a question, an accusation. Harry grimaces. "I'm not a witch. I'm just lost. Please, I don't understand where I am or what's happening." The woman glances around, checking for patrols, then gestures sharply. 5 minutes, then I'm gone." She leads him deeper into the ruins, to a space shielded by collapsed machinery. When she speaks, her voice is rapid, urgent. "You're in Hive Tarsis, Segmentum Tempestus. If you don't know that, you're either insane or you're not from any Imperial world I've heard of." She studies his face. "The Arbites are searching every level. The Inquisition has been notified. If they find you, they'll kill you. Not arrest you, kill you. Because you touched the warp, and that's all they need to know." Harry's stomach drops. "The warp? What's the warp?" The woman's expression shifts from fear to something like pity. "Emperor's mercy, you really don't know." She hesitates, then says quietly, "The warp is hell. It's the space between spaces, where demons live and reality breaks. Psykers touch it when they use their powers. Most go mad. All of them are dangerous. And you," she points at him, "you burned with warp fire, purple fire. That means something noticed you, something out there in the dark." Harry feels ice slide down his spine. He thinks about the laughter, the hunger, the way his magic felt like something else was steering it. What happens if something notices you? He asks, though part of him doesn't want to know the answer. The woman's face goes pale. It means you're already dead. You just don't know it yet. The warp doesn't let go. It whispers, it promises. It shows you exactly what you want and makes you think it's your idea. And when you finally say yes, when you open yourself fully, it pours through and turns you into something that has to be killed before it spreads. She backs away, suddenly urgent. I'm sorry, I can't help you more than this. If the Inquisition finds me talking to you, they'll execute me too. Run, get to the lower levels, hide. Pray the Emperor grants you a quick death. She's gone before Harry can respond, vanishing into the shadows like she was never there, and Harry is alone again, in a galaxy that wants him dead, with magic that might kill him first. The lower levels smell like death going through the motions of living. Harry descends through access shafts and maintenance tunnels, following the flow of the desperate and the damned. The light grows dimmer with each level, the air thicker, until he's moving through corridors lit only by bioluminescent fungi and the occasional guttering torch. The people here don't pray anymore. They just survive. Children with hollow eyes watch him pass. Old men cough blood into rags and keep walking because stopping means dying faster. This isn't poverty. This is what happens when an entire civilization decides some people simply don't matter. Harry's seen bad neighborhoods. He's walked through Chicago's worst corners at midnight. But those places had hope buried somewhere deep. This place has forgotten the word. These people aren't waiting for rescue. They're waiting for death to finally know. Tice them. He finds a collapsed section where the homeless huddle around barrel fires, burning what looks like compressed corpse starch for warmth. An old woman sits nearby, her eyes milky with cataracts, rocking back and forth while muttering prayers so old the words have lost meaning. Harry approaches carefully. "Excuse me, I'm looking for somewhere safe to hide." The woman doesn't stop rocking. "No safe places, not anymore, not ever." Her voice is papery, dried out like something left too long in the sun. "You're the witch they're hunting. I can smell the warp on you. Tastes like copper and broken promises." Harry freezes. "How do you—" She laughs, a sound like cracking glass. "I had the sight once, boy, before they took my eyes, before they burned out the part of me that could see too much. You want safety? There is none. Only choices. Die fast or die slow. Die clean or die screaming." Before Harry can respond, a sound cuts through the underhive, a child crying. Not the whimper of hunger or cold, the high, terrified shriek of pain. Harry moves without thinking, following the sound through the maze of collapsed hab blocks until he finds them. 3 men in tattered gang colors surrounding a girl no older than 12. She's bleeding from a gash on her arm. The men are laughing. One holds a knife crusted with rust and worse things. Harry's vision tunnels. He's seen this scene before. Different city, different monsters, same fundamental evil. "Let her go," he says, his voice low and dangerous. The men turn. The knife wielder grins, showing teeth filed to points. "Or what, stranger? You'll pray at us?" Harry doesn't answer with words. He reaches for his magic carefully this time, trying to control the flow, trying to keep it small and precise, just enough to scare them, just enough to stop this without killing anyone. The magic comes like a tidal wave. Harry gasps, trying to hold it back, but it pours through him like he's a broken dam. Fire erupts from his hands, not the controlled flame he intended, but a roaring inferno of orange and purple that screams as it burns. The gang members don't have time to run. They don't have time to scream. They're ash before they hit the ground, and the air fills with the stench of burned meat and something sweet and wrong. Harry cuts the power, stumbling, his whole body shaking. The girl stares at him, her eyes wide with terror. Not gratitude, not relief, just pure animal terror. She scrambles backward, clutching her bleeding arm, and runs. Doesn't thank him, doesn't speak, just runs like Harry's the monster now. And maybe he is. He looks at his hands still smoking and realizes the truth. In trying to help, he just used the warp to kill 3 people. Instant, merciless execution. The Inquisition was right to hunt him. The whispers start immediately. Harry clamps his hands over his ears, but it doesn't help because the voices aren't coming from outside. They're inside, coiling through his thoughts like smoke. "You saved her," they say. You protected the innocent. Isn't that what you always do? Harry grits his teeth. Shut up! The voices laugh, delighted. Why fight it? You're good at this. You could help so many people here. All you need is more power, and we have so much to give. Harry knows what this is. He's fought mental assaults before. Vampires trying to dominate his mind. Fae trying to twist his perceptions. But this is different. This isn't an external attack. This is something already inside him, something that slipped through the cracks when he used magic here. The warp isn't just energy. It's alive, and it's learning what he wants so it can offer it to him wrapped in poison. In her command center, Vasca receives the report with cold satisfaction. Faction. 3 gang members dead, incinerated by warp fire. Witnesses describe purple flames and a man matching the target's description. She updates the threat assessment. The Psyker is no longer confused and frightened. He's using his powers offensively. Escalation is confirmed. She keys her Vox. Ren, mobilize the suppression team. Sanctioned Psykers on standby. I want null field generators and anti-warp countermeasures at maximum. We move within the hour. Ren's voice crackles back. Inquisitor. The target killed gang members, criminal elements. Some might argue he was defending. Vasca cuts him off. He killed using the warp. The circumstances are irrelevant. Unsanctioned psychic power is heresy. Heresy spreads like plague. We burn the infection before it corrupts others. She stands, checking her bolt pistol's magazine. Each round is inscribed with prayers. Each one costs more than a worker earns in a lifetime. She'll use every one if necessary. Harry sits in the darkness trying to think, trying to plan. But exhaustion is setting in, and with it, doubt. In Chicago, he knew the rules. Monsters existed, but so did choice. You could fight back. You could protect people. You could win, sometimes, if you were smart and lucky and willing to pay the price. Here, none of that seems to apply. Here, helping people makes you a monster. Using power damns you, and the whispers keep promising that it doesn't have to be this way. You could be stronger, they say, strong enough to make your own rules, strong enough to protect everyone. Harry thinks about the girl, about her terror, about the way she ran from him like he was worse than the men who were hurting her. And he wonders, in a galaxy this broken, is there any point in being good, or does goodness just get people killed faster? He doesn't have time to answer that question. Boots echo through the underhive, armored boots, moving with military precision. Flashlights cut through the darkness like blades. A voice amplified by Vox speakers booms through the ruins. Psyker, this is your final warning. Surrender now and face the Emperor's mercy. Resist and be purged in his name. Harry stands slowly, his body aching, his magic thrumming just beneath his skin like a trapped animal desperate to be free. He could run deeper, lose them in the labyrinth, or he could fight and damn himself completely. Or, and this is the thought that terrifies him most, he could surrender, walk toward the lights with his hands up, trust that maybe, somehow, there's justice in this place. But the old woman's words echo in his mind, die fast or die slow. Die clean or die screaming. In the 41st millennium, Harry Dresden is learning there are no good choices, only choices that kill you in different ways, and the warp is listening, waiting to see which death he'll choose. Harry chooses to run, not because he's a coward, he's faced down things that would break most people, but because surrender in this place feels like walking into a furnace with his eyes open. He moves through the underhive like a ghost, using every trick he learned running from the White Council's wardens back when they thought he was too dangerous to live. Stay low, stay quiet, use the terrain. Don't use magic unless absolutely necessary. But the Inquisition isn't hunting him alone. They've brought something worse. Harry feels it before he sees it, a cold, empty sensation, like someone opened a door into vacuum. His magic sputters and dies. The whispers in his head scream and retreat. And then he sees them. 3 figures in black robes, their eyes glowing with a pale, dead light. Sanctioned psychers, the Imperium's solution to people like him. Lobotomized, soul, bound, turned into living weapons that burn out everyone around them. The lead psyker raises one withered hand, and Harry's legs stop working, not because they're injured, because reality around him just forgot he's allowed to move. He crashes to the ground, gasping, trying to fight the invisible force holding him down. It's not magic in any way he understands. It's not even hostile. It's just absolute. You will not move because we have decided you will not move. Harry strains against it, sweat pouring down his face, and manages to lift his head an inch. The sanctioned psychers advance slowly, their movements mechanical, their faces expressionless. Behind them, Inquisitor Vaska emerges from the shadows, her power armor humming softly, her bolt pistol trained on Harry's skull. She studies him like a scientist examining a specimen. No hatred, no anger, just cold professional assessment. "Identify yourself," she says. Her voice is filtered through her helmet, devoid of emotion. Harry grits his teeth. "Harry Dresden, Wizard, Chicago." The words come out strangled. Vaska's helmet cocks slightly, processing. No record of such a place in Imperial archives. Designation, Rogue Psyker, origin unknown, warp touched. She gestures and the sanctioned psychers tighten their hold. Harry feels like his bones are being crushed by invisible hands. "You killed 3 Imperial citizens using unsanctioned psychic power. You manifested purple warp fire, indicating chaos resonance. You will be questioned. If you survive the questioning, you will be executed. If you do not survive, you will be cremated and your ashes scattered in sanctified fire." Harry tries to speak, but the pressure increases. Black spots dance in his vision. Vaska continues, her tone never changing. "Do not beg. Do not plead. The Emperor's judgment is absolute. Your corruption ends here." Something inside Harry breaks. Not his will, his restraint. He spent years learning to control his power, to use it carefully, to never let it run wild. But the warp doesn't care about control. The warp cares about emotion, about desperation, about the moment when survival overrides everything else. Harry stops fighting the pressure and instead reaches for the fire inside him. Not carefully, not precisely, he just grabs it and pulls with everything he has. The sanctioned psychers scream, actual human sounds coming from their ruined throats. As Harry's magic crashes against their null field like a battering ram, the field cracks, reality shivers, and for just a second, the barrier between the materium and the immaterium grows thin enough that something looks through. Vaska sees it in her helmet's display. A massive eye made of fire and screaming faces, staring at them all with interest that feels like hunger. Then Harry's power explodes outward in a wave of flame and force that sends everyone flying. Harry staggers to his feet, his whole body shaking, his vision blurred. The sanctioned psychers are down, 2 unconscious, 1 twitching and making sounds that might be prayers or might be death rattles. Vaska is on her knees, her armor sparking, her helmet cracked. But she's already reaching for her bolt pistol, already trying to stand. Harry could kill her, should kill her, maybe, in self-defense. But even now, even here, he can't make himself murder an unconscious person. He runs instead, limping, bleeding from his nose and ears, the warp fire still crackling around his hands. Behind him, Vaska's voice cuts through the chaos, transmitted on all inquisitorial channels. "Target is loose. Demonic manifestation confirmed. Authorization granted for Exterminator's protocol if containment fails. All units converge. The Emperor protects." Her voice doesn't waver, not even after seeing piety. G&I made of hell itself staring at her. Faith, Harry realizes, is just another kind of madness here. He doesn't get far. The Underhive is suddenly flooded with Arbites, with inquisitorial stormtroopers, with armed citizens deputized on the spot and promised redemption if they bring down the witch. Harry ducks into a maintenance tunnel, his lungs burning, his magic flickering like a dying candle. He's running out of strength, running out of options, and the whispers are back, louder now, promising salvation. "They'll kill you," the voices say, "but we can help. Just say yes, just open the door. We'll give you the power to survive, the power to win." Harry shakes his head, trying to focus. He knows what happens when you make deals with things from beyond reality. He's seen warlocks consumed by their own power, seen good people corrupted into monsters because they thought they could control forces that were always controlling them. But what's the alternative? Die here, alone, in a universe that doesn't even know his name. A hatch opens above him. Harry looks up, expecting soldiers, expecting death. Instead, he sees a face, young, scarred, with eyes that have seen too much but haven't given up yet. The woman from before, the one who warned him. "Move," she hisses. "Now, before they triangulate your position." Harry doesn't question it. He climbs, his muscles screaming, and she hauls him into a hidden chamber carved from the hive's bones. The space is small, barely large enough for 2 people, lit by a single flickering candle. She seals the hatch behind them and triggers something. Harry feels the air change, feels a strange dampening effect settle over the room. "Null field generator," she whispers. "Stolen, illegal. We'll hide you for maybe an hour before they detect the power drain." She looks at him, and there's no kindness in her expression, only calculation. "Why?" Harry gasps. "Why help me?" She's silent for a long moment. Then, "Because I had a brother once, a psyker. 10 years old when they took him. They said he'd be sanctioned, trained, turned into a weapon for the Emperor. I never saw him again, but I saw what they did to him. Saw him on the front lines during a heretic uprising, his eyes dead, his mouth moving in prayers he didn't understand, burning people alive because someone pointed and said, 'Kill.' He died 3 months later, used up like ammunition." Her voice is flat, empty. "You're going to die too, but maybe you can die as yourself. Maybe that's worth something." Harry stares at her, wants to say thank you, wants to promise he'll find a way to make this right. But there's nothing right about this place, nothing to fix, just people surviving in the cracks of a system designed to grind them into nothing. Outside, the boots keep marching, the search continues, and Harry Dresden sits in the darkness, listening to the warp whisper promises, and wonders how long before he runs out of reasons to say no. The hour passes like a countdown to execution. Harry sits in the darkness trying to catch his breath, trying to think of a plan that doesn't end with him dead or worse. The woman, she finally tells him her name is Mira, watches him with the weary patience of someone who's already mourning. "There's no escape," she says quietly. "The hive has 100,000 levels. Every one of them is watched. Every exit is guarded. They'll keep searching until they find you, and when they do, they'll burn everything within 100 meters just to be sure." Harry leans his head back against the cold metal wall. "There's always a way out. Always a loophole." Mira laughs bitterly. "Not here. The Imperium doesn't have loopholes. It has heretics and corpses. That's it." Harry closes his eyes. Back in Chicago, he'd be calling in favors. Murphy would help. Bob would have some ancient solution. Hell, even Mab might intervene if the stakes were high enough. But here, he has nothing. No allies, no tools, just magic that's trying to kill him and a universe that wants him dead. The null field generator suddenly flickers. Mira's face goes pale. "No, we have time still." The generator dies completely, its hum fading to silence like a last breath, and immediately Harry feels them. Not the Inquisition. Something else. Something that's been circling in the dark, waiting for exactly this moment. The temperature in the chamber drops, frost forms on the metal walls, and Harry hears singing, wrong singing, words in languages that hurt to hear, melodies that make his teeth ache and his vision blur. Mira scrambles for a weapon, but Harry knows it's useless. This isn't something you fight with guns. "Get behind me," he says, standing, his magic already responding to the threat. The hatch explodes inward in a spray of metal shards, and they come through. Not soldiers, not demons, just people. Men and women in tattered robes marked with symbols that seem to move when you're not looking directly at them. Their eyes shine with fevered devotion, and at their center stands a figure in a mask made of human bone, its hands covered in scars that spell out words Harry instinctively knows he shouldn't read. "Brother," the masked figure says, and its voice is warm, welcoming, obscene in its friendliness. "We've been looking for you." Harry raises his hands, fire crackling between his fingers. "I'm not your brother. I don't know who you are, but you need to leave. Now." The figure laughs, a sound like breaking glass wrapped in honey. "Oh, but you are. You're warp-touched. Blessed. The Four have noticed you, and they are delighted." The cultists move into the room, surrounding Harry and Mira. Their movements are synchronized, inhuman, like puppets controlled by the same strings. "The Inquisition hunts you. The Imperium wants you dead. But we understand what you are. We can teach you, show you how to use your gifts without fear, without pain." The masked figure extends one scarred hand. Join us. The gods of chaos offer what the corpse emperor never could: freedom. Harry's stomach turns. He's fought demons before, fought things that offered power wrapped in lies. But this is different. These people believe what they're saying. They genuinely think they're offering salvation. And the horrifying part, the part that makes Harry's blood run cold, is that they're not entirely wrong. The Imperium will kill him. The warp is trying to consume him. And here are people offering a third option, offering to help him survive. All he has to do is abandon everything he believes in, abandon the idea that choices matter, that good and evil exist, that fighting against corruption means something. No, Harry says. His voice shakes but holds. I've seen what chaos does. I've fought things like you. The answer is no. The masked figure tilts its head, almost curious. You don't understand yet, but you will. When the pain becomes too much, when the Inquisition's torturers break your fingers one by one, when you're screaming for mercy that never comes, you'll remember this moment, and you'll wish that you'd said yes. The cultists attack, not with weapons, with magic. Raw, unfiltered warp energy that crashes against Harry's hastily erected shields like a tidal wave of screaming colors. Harry fights back, fire and force meeting corruption and madness, and the chamber becomes a hell of light and noise. Mira huddles in the corner, hands over her ears, bleeding from her nose as reality frays around her. Harry can feel it happening, his magic mingling with theirs, the boundary between his power and the warp dissolving. Every spell he casts opens him further, every defense lets something slip through. The whispers become shouts, the voices promise and threaten and seduce all at once. And Harry realizes with absolute clarity, he's losing, not the fight, himself. The more he uses magic here, the more he becomes what they want him to be. A tool, a conduit, a door opened just wide enough for something vast and hungry to reach through and remake him from the inside out. Then the far wall explodes. Bolt rounds tear through cultists like they're made of paper. Flames erupt, not warp fire but promethium, burning clean and pure and merciless. Inquisitor Vaska strides through the breach, her armor scorched but functional, her bolt pistol singing its prayer of death. Behind her, stormtroopers pour in, their weapons cutting down anyone who doesn't wear the Imperial Eagle. The masked figure turns, hissing, and raises its hands to cast. Vaska shoots it in the face. The bolt round explodes inside the cultist's skull, and the body drops like someone cut its strings. The remaining cultists scatter, screaming prayers to their dark gods. The stormtroopers hunt them through the corridors like it's a routine patrol. Vaska approaches Harry, her weapon still raised, her damaged helmet revealing one cold grey eye. "Move," she says, "and I will kill you where you stand." Harry doesn't move. He's exhausted, bleeding, his magic guttering like a candle in a hurricane. Mira is unconscious behind him, possibly dead. The cultists are being executed in the corridors. He can hear the bolt pistols, the screams, the sudden silence. Vaska studies him for a long moment. "You fought them," she says finally. "The heretics. You refused their offer." It's not a question. She saw everything through her helmet's recording systems. Harry nods weakly. "I'm not interested in joining chaos." Vaska's expression doesn't change. "That changes nothing. You're still warp-touched, still dangerous, still condemned." She raises her bolt pistol. Harry closes his eyes. After everything, after running, fighting, resisting, this is how it ends. Executed in a basement by someone who thinks she's doing the right thing. And maybe she is. Maybe in this universe, killing people like him is the only thing that makes sense. He waits for the shot. It doesn't come. When Harry opens his eyes, Vaska is still staring at him. Her weapon hasn't lowered, but she hasn't fired. "Why?" she asks quietly. "Why refuse them?" Harry laughs, a broken, exhausted sound. "Because I've spent my whole life fighting monsters. I'm not going to become one just because I'm scared." Vaska is silent for a long moment. Then she lowers her weapon, just slightly. "You will be taken into custody. You will be questioned by the Ordo Hereticus. If you lie, you will be tortured until you tell the truth. If you tell the truth and it proves your corruption, you will be executed. If by some miracle you are deemed salvageable, you will be soul-bound and sanctioned." She pauses, There is no freedom in your future, no happiness, no escape, only service or death. Harry meets her eye, sees something there he didn't expect. Doubt, just a flicker, just a crack in the absolute certainty. I know, he says, but it's still better than the alternative. Vaska nods once. Then she gestures and stormtroopers surge forward, binding Harry's hands with null-field shackles that make his magic die like someone turned off a switch. The relief is instantaneous and terrible. Mira is dragged away, still breathing, and Harry Dresden, Wizard of Chicago, is led toward whatever passes for justice in the 41st millennium. The whispers fade as the shackles tighten, but they don't disappear. They just wait, patient, eternal. Because in the end, the warp always gets what it wants. It just has to wait for you to break first. The interrogation chamber is exactly what Harry expected, and somehow worse. Cold, clinical, sterile in the way operating rooms are sterile, not because they care about cleanliness, but because blood is easier to clean off bare metal. They've strapped him to a chair that's bolted to the floor, his wrists and ankles locked in null-field restraints that make his entire body feel hollow. The magic is still there, buried deep, but it's like trying to shout through a pillow, muffled, distant, almost peaceful. 3 inquisitors sit across from him at a steel table. Vaska is one of them. The others are strangers, an old man with augmetic eyes that click and whir as they focus, and a woman whose face is covered in purity seals, her lips sewn shut except for a vox grill surgically implanted in her throat. They don't introduce themselves, they don't explain the process, they just stare at Harry like he's a disease they're trying to classify before they incinerate the sample. The old man speaks first, his voice like gravel grinding against stone. "State your name and origin." Harry takes a breath. Lying seems pointless. Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden, born in Chicago, Illinois. Earth, I'm a wizard. I don't know how I got here. 1 minute I was fighting a demon, the next I woke up in your hive. The inquisitors exchange glances. The woman with the sewn lips types something on a data slate. The old man continues. There is no Chicago in Imperial records, no Illinois, no Earth matching your description. Either you are lying, delusional, or you originate from a reality outside our understanding. He leans forward. We will determine which, and if you are a warp-spawn construct designed to infiltrate the Imperium, we will burn the truth from your bones. Harry's throat goes dry. I'm not lying. I'm not a demon. I'm just a guy who ended up somewhere he doesn't belong. The woman with the sewn lips taps a control panel. The chair Harry's strapped to hums to life, and suddenly his head is on fire. Not physically, psychically. He feels something vast and cold pressing against his mind, peeling back layers like someone skinning an onion. Memories flood to the surface against his will. His mother's death, his first spell, the day Justin Dumorn tried to corrupt him, the night he killed him in self-defense. Every mistake, every choice, every moment he chose to fight instead of surrender. The Inquisitors watch data scroll across their screens, psychic resonance patterns, emotional markers, memory authenticity protocols. They're not interested in his feelings. They're mining his soul for evidence, looking for corruption the way doctors look for cancer, and Harry can't stop them, can't even slow them down. The null field holds his magic useless while they dissect everything he is and catalogue it for judgment. Subject demonstrates consistent moral framework. The old man reads aloud. Repeated rejection of corrupting influences. Multiple encounters with entities classified as demonic or warp-adjacent. Survival rate statistically improbable. He looks up at Harry, something like curiosity in his augmetic gaze. You've been fighting chaos your entire life. You just didn't know that's what you were fighting. Harry gasps as the psychic probe withdraws, leaving his mind raw and aching. I fought monsters. Things that hurt people. That's all I know. Vaska speaks for the first time. In the Imperium, those are the same thing. She stands, circling the table slowly. You claim ignorance of the warp, yet you wield it with precision unusual for unsanctioned psychers. You claim moral opposition to chaos, yet you killed 3 men with warp fire strong enough to leave scorch marks on reality itself. She stops directly in front of him. Explain the contradiction. Harry meets her eyes. I didn't want to kill them. I was trying to save a kid. The magic, it got away from me. It's never done that before. Not like that. He pauses, struggling for words. In my world, magic is dangerous but controllable. Here, it feels like every spell I cast is opening a door I can't close, like something's always watching, waiting for me to slip. The woman with the sewn lips makes a sound, impossible to tell if it's agreement or condemnation. Her vox grill crackles. Accurate assessment. The warp is sentient malevolence. It does not serve, it corrupts. The subject's awareness is unusual, but not unprecedented. She types more notes. The old man nods slowly. Recommendation: extended observation. Subject demonstrates resistance to chaos influence despite repeated exposure. This may prove valuable for understanding warp corruption vectors. Vasca's jaw tightens. Or it may prove he's simply better at hiding his allegiance. The room falls still. End. Harry realizes they're not deciding if he's guilty. They're deciding if he's useful enough to keep alive a little longer. The decision comes from someone Harry can't see, a voice transmitted through the Vox system, distorted and ancient. The subject will undergo sanctioning trials. If he survives and demonstrates sufficient control, he may be rendered useful to the Imperium. If he fails, immediate execution. The transmission ends. No appeal, no discussion. Just verdict delivered from on high. The Inquisitors stand as one. Vasca lingers, studying Harry's face. "Do you understand what sanctioning means?" she asks quietly. Harry shakes his head. She continues, her voice flat. "They will take you to Holy Terror. They will bring you before the Golden Throne, and the Emperor himself, or what remains of his consciousness, will judge your soul. Most psychers die instantly, their minds burned out by proximity to his divine presence. Those who survive are permanently changed, bound, their power chained to service of the Imperium forever." She pauses. "There is no freedom after sanctioning, only obedience or death." Harry's heart hammers. He thinks about the sanctioned psychers he saw. Their dead eyes, their mechanical movements, souls carved away until nothing remained but weapons in human shape. "And if I refuse?" Vasca's expression doesn't change. "Then you die here, now, clean and quick." She draws her bolt pistol, checks the chamber. "I would consider it mercy." Harry laughs, a sound without humor. "Some choice. Be lobotomized or executed." Vasca holsters her weapon. "In the Imperium, most people don't get choices at all. The fact that you have one, even this one, is more than billions ever receive." She turns to leave, then stops at the door. "For what it's worth, your refusal of the Chaos Cult was noted. There are those among us who believe you may genuinely be what you claim. A warrior against darkness who simply doesn't understand the galaxy he's fallen into." She pauses. "I am not yet among them, but I'm watching. Prove me wrong." The door seals behind her with a hiss of hydraulics. Harry sits alone in the interrogation chamber, nullfield restraint still active, his mind still raw from the psychic violation. He thinks about Chicago, about his apartment, his cat, his friends, about Murphy probably wondering where the hell he disappeared to, about a life that feels like it happened to someone else in a different universe. Maybe it did. Maybe this is all there is now, a choice between slavery and death in a galaxy that's forgotten what either word even means. The whispers start again, threading through the null field like smoke through cracks. "They'll break you," the voices say. "On Terra, before the corpse god, they'll strip away everything you are. But we could save you. Just say yes. Just open the door." Harry closes his eyes, thinks about every choice he's ever made, every monster he's fought, every person he's saved. And he realizes, even here, even in hell, the choice still matters. Not because it will save him, but because making it proves he's still himself, still human, still Harry Dresden. And if that's all he has left, the ability to choose how he dies, then he'll hold on to it until they pry it from his corpse. The transport ship is called the Sanctified Penance, and Harry knows immediately that the name isn't metaphorical. Everything about the vessel screams suffering as sacrament. The corridors are lined with skulls, thousands of them, each one inscribed with prayers. Servo cherubs float past, their infant bodies merged with machinery, their eyes replaced with targeting systems. Crew members move like ghosts, whispering litanies under their breath, their bodies marked with ritual scars. Harry is kept in a cell barely large enough to stand, his null field shackles replaced with something worse, a psychic dampener collar that pulses with cold energy every few seconds, sending ice through his veins. It doesn't just suppress his magic, it punishes him for having it. Every pulse is a reminder that his power is a sin, that he exists only by the Imperium's mercy, and mercy in the 41st millennium feels a lot like slow-motion execution. They tell him the journey to Holy Terror will take weeks, maybe months. Warp travel doesn't follow linear time. You enter the Immaterium in one moment and exit in another, and whatever happens between is subject to the whims of things that don't obey physics or sanity. Harry's heard the crew talking in hushed voices, their fear barely concealed. They speak of Geller fields, the only thing keeping the ship safe from the warp's horrors, shields that hold reality together while you travel through unreality. And if the Geller field fails, even for a second, the ship becomes a feeding ground. Harry doesn't need them to explain further. He's felt what's out there in the warp, the hunger, the vastness, the things that wear thought like skin and feed on souls like breath. The ship shudders as it prepares to translate into the Immaterium, and Harry grips the edges of his bunk, his stomach turning. He's fought demons, he's walked through the never-never, but the wussy, as this is different. This is diving into hell and hoping you come out the other side still recognizing yourself. The translation happens like reality tearing at the seams. One moment the ship is in normal space, stars visible through distant viewports, the hum of engines steady and mechanical. The next, everything shifts. The walls seem to breathe. The air tastes like copper and burning hair, and Harry hears screaming, not from the crew, not from anything human, from the ship itself, from the space between spaces. He presses his hands against his ears, but it doesn't help because the sound isn't physical, it's psychic. It's the warp itself howling at their intrusion, clawing at the Geller field, testing for weakness. Harry's dampener collar pulses faster, trying to keep his magic suppressed, but even it can't completely silence the resonance. He feels the warp calling to him, feels it recognize him as something that belongs more to it than to the material universe. And the whispers, the constant, seductive whispers, become a roar. "Come home," they say. "You were always meant to be here. Stop fighting. Stop resisting. Let us in, and we'll show you wonders." Days pass, or maybe hours, or maybe years. Time doesn't work right in warp transit. Harry loses track of meals, of sleep cycles, of anything that marks the passage of normal existence. The crew grows more paranoid with each passing moment. He hears bolt pistols being fired in distant corridors, hears screaming that cuts off abruptly. Rumors spread that someone saw things moving in the shadows, that prayer marks have been defaced, that crew members are missing or have been found dead with symbols carved into their flesh. The inquisitorial guards stationed outside Harry's cell are replaced more frequently. Some look exhausted, some look terrified. One looks at Harry with eyes that shine too bright, too eager, and whispers, "It's beautiful, isn't it? The truth beyond the veil." That guard disappears before the next shift. Harry doesn't ask what happened to him. He already knows. The warp doesn't just destroy, it converts. And faith, even imperial faith, becomes a fragile thing when you're traveling through a dimension made of nightmares. Then the Geller field flickers, just for a second, just long enough. Harry feels it like someone opened a door in his chest and let the wind rush in. The dampener collar screams, overloading, trying to compensate. But it's too late. The warp pours through the gap, and Harry's cell becomes something else. The walls melt away, the floor drops into infinite darkness, and Harry falls, not physically but spiritually, his consciousness torn from his body and dragged into the Immaterium itself. He sees things no human should see, geometries that don't obey dimensions, colors that exist only in madness, and entities, vast, incomprehensible, made of hunger and malice and twisted joy. They circle him like sharks around drowning prey. One reaches for him, something that might have been an angel once, if angels were made of razors and broken promises. Its touch burns, not with fire, with knowledge, with truth. It shows him everything he could become if he just surrendered. Power beyond measure, freedom from pain, the ability to reshape reality with a thought. And Harry sees it, really sees it, the future the warp offers. He sees himself standing in Chicago, wreathed in purple fire, killing every monster, every villain, every threat, with effortless ease. He sees himself protecting everyone he loves, solving every case, winning every fight. He sees himself as a god, and underneath it all, he sees the truth. Everyone he saves is screaming. Everyone he protects is begging him to stop, because the power isn't his, it's borrowed, and the price is paid in souls, not just his own, but everyone around him. The warp doesn't offer salvation, it offers damnation disguised as victory. Harry screams, a sound that echoes through the immaterium like a prayer in reverse, and somehow, impossibly, something else answers. Not the chaos gods, not the warp entities circling like vultures, something older, something that feels like cold starlight and absolute judgment. Harry catches a glimpse, just a glimpse, of a figure on a golden throne, skeletal and eternal, burning with power that makes the warp recoil. The Emperor, still alive, still watching, still judging. The vision shatters. Harry slams back into his body, gasping, bleeding from his eyes and nose, his dampener collar smoking and sparking. The Geller field stabilizes. The cell walls solidify back into mundane metal, but Harry knows what he saw was real. He touched the warp, saw its true face, saw what it wanted to make him, and worse, he saw how easy it would be to say yes, how rational, how justified. The warp doesn't tempt you with obviously evil choices. It tempts you with the things you already want, twisted just enough that you don't notice the corruption until it's too late. Harry rolls onto his side, shaking, his whole body cold. The guards outside his cell are shouting into Vox units, reporting the Geller field malfunction, calling for tech priests and sanctioned psychers to verify the ship's integrity. But Harry barely hears them. He's too busy holding on to one thought, one anchor in the storm. I am Harry Dresden. I choose my own path, and I will not become a monster, no matter how much sense it makes. Vasca arrives an hour later, her armor scarred from fighting something in the corridors. She doesn't ask if Harry's okay, she just stares at him, assessing damage. You survived direct warp exposure, she says finally. Most psychers go mad, some die instantly. You're bleeding, but you're coherent. She pauses. What did you see? Harry looks up at her, his eyes haunted. Everything. I saw everything it wants to make me, and I saw why people say yes. Vasca nods slowly. And yet you're still here, still yourself. It's not quite respect in her voice, but it's close. She turns to leave, then stops. We're 3 weeks from Terra, 3 weeks of this. The warp knows you now. It will test you again and again, until you break or die or reach the golden throne. She meets his eyes. I don't know which outcome to hope for. The door seals, and Harry Dresden sits in his cell, surrounded by screaming metal and dying stars, counting down the days until he faces judgment from a god he doesn't believe in. If he survives that long, if the warp doesn't claim him first, if he doesn't claim himself, Terra appears through the viewport like a nightmare wrapped in grandeur. Harry is brought to observe the approach, his shackles humming, 2 guards flanking him with weapons primed. He expected something glorious, the cradle of humanity, the jewel of civilization. Instead, he sees a world encased in metal, continents buried under our hive cities, oceans drained and replaced with industrial wastelands. The atmosphere itself is brown with pollution, barely breathable even with atmospheric processors working at full capacity. And above it all, orbital defense platforms the size of moons, bristling with weapons capable of cracking planets. This isn't a home world, it's a fortress, a monument to humanity's refusal to die, built on the corpses of 10,000 years of sacrifice. Harry stares at it and feels something break inside him, not corruption, but hope, because this is what humanity becomes when it survives, when it fights for millennia against horrors that would devour existence itself. It doesn't stay noble, it becomes this, brutal, efficient, and absolutely merciless. The sanctified penance descends through layers of security that make Harry's head spin. Orbital checkpoints where entire battle fleets stand, ready to annihilate anything suspicious. Psychic scanners that probe every mind on the ship, searching for corruption. Defense lasers that track their trajectory with the patience of executioners. They're not welcomed home, they're permitted to survive the approach. There's a difference. The crew barely breathes until they receive final clearance to dock at one of Terra's countless spaceports. When the ship finally settles into its berth, Harry hears the crew openly weeping with relief. Not because they're happy, because they survived, because the journey through the warp didn't claim them. And on Terra, survival is the only victory that matters. Harry is led off the ship in chains, his collar still pulsing, his magic still imprisoned. But even through the dampening field, he feels it, the sheer psychic weight of this world. Billions of minds, trillions of prayers. And underneath it all, something vast and golden and terrible, burning like a sun at the planet's core. They take him through the Imperial Palace, not the whole thing, that would take years, just a fraction, a sliver, and even that fraction is incomprehensible. Corridors miles long, lined with statues of heroes and saints and martyrs, each one perfect, each one dead. Cathedrals large enough to hold entire cities, filled with pilgrims who've traveled centuries to pray here. Libraries containing every book ever written, guarded by servitors who've forgotten they were once human. And everywhere, the Aquila, the two-headed eagle, the symbol of the Imperium, watching, judging, reminding Harry that he's an insect in a machine designed to grind insects into fuel. Vasca walks beside him, silent, her armor gleaming under lumen light. She hasn't spoken since they made planetfall. Harry can see the tension in her shoulders. Even she, an inquisitor, a servant of the throne, is afraid of what comes next. They reach a chamber called the Hall of Proving. It's smaller than Harry expected, intimate almost. Just a circular room with walls covered in purity seals, the floor inscribed with wards and prayers that glow with faint golden light. At the center stands a single chair, not a throne, just a chair, simple and functional. But the air around it shimmers with power. Psychic pressure so intense Harry's knees buckle. The guards force him upright. An ancient woman enters, bent with age, her robes marking her as a representative of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica. She speaks without preamble, her voice like wind through dead trees. You will sit. You will open your mind completely. You will be judged by he who sits on the golden throne. If you are pure, you will be sanctioned. If you are tainted, you will be destroyed. If you are strong enough, if your soul can bear the weight of his gaze, you may yet serve the Imperium. She gestures to the chair. Sit. Harry looks at Vasca. She meets his eyes. For just a moment, he sees something in her expression. Not pity, not compassion, but recognition. She understands what he's feeling, the terror of facing something infinite, the certainty that you won't survive, and the grim determination to try anyway, because what else can you do? Harry nods to her. Then he sits. The moment his body touches the chair, reality fractures. He's no longer in the Hall of Proving. He's somewhere else, somewhere that exists outside of space and time, a place built from golden light and infinite darkness. And before him, impossibly vast, impossibly ancient, sits the Emperor. Not as he appears in propaganda, not as the shining god of faith, but as he truly is, a corpse kept alive by machinery and devotion, a skeleton wrapped in flickering power, eyes that burned out millennia ago but still see everything, a mind that stretches across the galaxy, holding back the warp through sheer, agonizing will, and that mind now focuses entirely on Harry Dresden. The Emperor doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. His presence alone strips Harry bare, every memory, every choice, every secret laid out for examination. Harry feels himself dissected by something that has judged trillions of souls and found nearly all of them wanting. The Emperor sees Chicago, sees Justin Dumorn, sees every battle Harry fought, every monster he killed, every person he saved, sees the moments Harry almost broke, almost chose power over principle, almost said yes to the things that whispered in the dark. And the Emperor judges, not with words, not with emotion, just with absolute terrifying certainty. Harry feels the verdict like a brand on his soul, flawed, arrogant, weak, but not corrupted, not yet. The Emperor's gaze burns through him, searing away something Harry didn't know was there, a shadow, a whisper, a seed of chaos planted during the warp transit. It burns away and leaves nothing but ash and screaming emptiness. Harry gasps, drowning in golden fire, and realizes, this is mercy. This is the Emperor's gift. He's purging the corruption before it roots. But the pain is unimaginable. Then something unexpected happens. The Emperor pauses, focuses, and Harry feels, impossibly, curiosity. The Emperor has seen billions of psychers, billions of souls begging for salvation or damnation. But Harry is something different, something that shouldn't exist. A wizard from a reality where the warp follows different rules, where corruption can be fought without faith, where one man with a staff and stubbornness can hold back the darkness. The Emperor examines this like a scientist examining a new species, searching for something, some answer to a question 10,000 years old. Can humanity survive without becoming monsters? Harry doesn't know if he represents an answer, but he feels the Emperor's attention shift from judgment to something else. Not hope. He, Emperor, is too old, too broken, too far beyond hope for that, but interest, calculation, and then, impossibly, Harry hears a voice, not spoken, not psychic, just a presence that shapes itself into meaning. You will serve, but you will remain yourself. Prove that it is possible. The vision shatters. Harry collapses out of the chair, screaming, blood pouring from his eyes and ears and nose. His dampener collar is melted slag around his neck. The wards on the floor are burned black. The ancient woman staggers back, her face pale with shock. Vasca catches Harry before he hits the ground, her strength keeping him upright. He lives, she breathes. Emperor's mercy, he survived. Harry can't speak, can't think. His mind is a burned-out shell, smoking and empty, but somewhere deep inside, beneath the pain and trauma, he feels it. His magic, still there, still his. Not chained, not lobotomized, not carved away. Changed, yes. Marked by something golden and terrible, but his. The Emperor didn't sanction him the way he sanctions others. The Emperor made him something else, something unprecedented. A test case, an experiment. A wizard in the 41st millennium, allowed to exist to prove whether goodness can survive in a galaxy built on despair. Vasca carries Harry to a medical bay, her armor servo motors straining. Tech priests swarm him immediately, checking vital signs, administering emergency aid. But there's confusion in their voices. His psychic signature has changed. Stronger, yes, but also stable in a way that shouldn't be possible. No corruption markers, no chaos taint, just raw power wrapped in something that reads as sanctioned, but isn't. Not really. The tech priests don't understand it. Vasca doesn't understand it, but she looks at Harry's unconscious form and whispers something. She hasn't said in years, "What are you?" When Harry finally wakes days later, he finds Vasca sitting beside his bed. She's not in armor, just robes. She looks smaller, more human. "You're being assigned to my command," she says without preamble. "The Ordo Hereticus has declared you a sanctioned psyker under unique circumstances. You will serve as an operative against chaos incursions. You will fight the very corruption that tried to claim you." She pauses. "You will never go home. You will likely die horribly, but you will remain yourself. The Emperor has granted you that mercy." Harry sits up slowly, his body aching, his mind still raw. He thinks about Chicago, about everything he's lost, about the impossibility of his situation. Then he looks at Vasca and sees something in her eyes he didn't expect, not certainty, but possibility. The first crack in her absolute faith. The first question, what if there's another way? "Okay," Harry says, his voice hoarse. "Tell me what you need me to do." Vasca almost smiles, almost. "Survive," she says. "Prove that a good man can exist in the 41st millennium without becoming a monster. Prove the Emperor's judgment correct." She stands, offering her hand. "Welcome to the Inquisition, Harry Dresden. May the Emperor protect you, because no one else will." Harry takes her hand, and somewhere in the warp, the entities that tried to claim him scream in frustration, because the door they thought was opening has been sealed by something even they fear. And Harry Dresden, wizard, survivor, fool, has become the galaxy's most dangerous thing, a man with power who still believes in hope, even here, even now, even in hell. The mission briefing is everything Harry expected and nothing he was prepared for. They're assembled in a war room aboard Vasca's personal ship, the Eternal Vigilance, a smaller, faster vessel than the transport that brought him to Terra. Vaska stands at the head of a hololith display showing a hive world called Secundus Prime. Her expression is carved from stone. Chaos Cult, suspected Zentian influence. They've been operating for 6 months, converting workers in the lower hives, spreading prophecies about a coming change. She zooms in on a sector of the hive, 14 confirmed ritual murders, symbols carved into flesh, victims chosen for specific psychic signatures. She pauses, looking directly at Harry. 3 days ago, they left a message at their latest kill site. 1 word, written in blood, Dresden. The room goes silent. Harry feels ice slide down his spine. "They know I'm here," he says quietly. Vaska nods. "They know, and they're calling you out." The plan is simple, brutal, efficient. Harry will enter the lower hive as bait, accompanied by Ren and a squad of stormtroopers. Vaska will maintain overwatch from orbit, ready to deploy backup or, if necessary, orbital bombardment. "You are not expected to capture anyone," she tells Harry, her voice flat. "You are expected to identify the cult's location and eliminate all hostile elements. Show no mercy. These people have chosen corruption. They are beyond redemption." Harry wants to argue, wants to say that maybe some of them were coerced, manipulated, victims themselves. But he looks at Vaska's eyes and sees the truth she's already learned. In the 41st millennium, mercy kills more people than cruelty. Hesitation spreads infection. And the Inquisition exists because someone has to make the choices no one else can stomach. "Understood," Harry says. Vaska studies him for a long moment, then nods. "Emperor, protect you, Dresden. You'll need it." Secundus Prime's lower hive smells like rot and desperation. Harry descends through levels of human misery that make Tarsus look prosperous. People living in corridors so narrow they can't stand upright. Children with mutations, extra fingers, eyes that glow in the dark, skin that weeps fluid, abandoned because their parents couldn't afford to feed them. The Imperium's propaganda speakers blast messages about duty and sacrifice. But down here, no one's listening. They're just trying to survive another day. Harry moves through the crowds, his new inquisitorial robes marking him as someone important enough to avoid. Ren walks beside him, shotgun ready, scanning for threats. "Stay alert," Ren mutters. "Cults don't operate in the open. They hide among the desperate, offer false hope, then gut you when you're vulnerable." Harry nods, his magical senses stretched to their limit. He can feel something wrong in the air, a psychic distortion, like reality's been bent just enough to notice if you're looking. They're close. The cult finds them first, not with violence, with words. A child approaches, maybe 8 years old, her eyes too bright, too knowing. She hands Harry a data slate, then runs before Ren can grab her. Harry reads the message. "Come alone to Sector 47 Tertius. We have answers. We have truth. We know what you are, Harry Dresden. We know you're still fighting, but we can show you the war you're really in. Coordinates follow." Ren reads over Harry's shoulder and immediately vox calls Vaska. "It's a trap." Vaska's voice crackles through. "Obvious bait." Harry stares at the coordinates. Of course it's a trap, but they know things they shouldn't. My name, my... He stops, realizing. They know I'm from somewhere else, and they're offering information. Vaska's silence is heavy. Then, "If you go with full tactical support. No heroics, no negotiations. You walk in, burn the heretics and extract, clear?" Harry closes his eyes, thinks about every bad decision he's made walking into obvious traps. Clear. Sector 47 Tertius is an abandoned shrine, its walls covered in defaced aquilaes and symbols that hurt to look at directly. The cult is waiting inside, 24 figures in tattered robes, their faces hidden behind masks painted with screaming mouths and crying eyes. At their center stands a man without a mask, his face scarred with ritual marks, his eyes glowing with warp light. He smiles when Harry enters, flanked by stormtroopers. "Harry Dresden," the cultist says, his voice warm, friendly, obscene. "The wizard who rejected chaos, the man who survived the Emperor's judgment, the anomaly." He spreads his hands. "We've been watching you, studying you, and we have a gift." He gestures and 2 cultists drag forward a figure, a woman, beaten, bleeding, but alive. Harry's heart stops. It's Mira, the woman who helped him in the Underhive on Tarsus, the one who lost her brother to the Imperium's cruelty. She looks up at Harry, and there's no hope in her eyes, only exhaustion. She's clean, The cultist continues. No taint, no corruption, just a woman who helped a witch because she remembered her brother. He draws a knife, ritual blade, inscribed with prayers to the dark gods. The Imperium will execute her for that help. You know they will. Aiding unsanctioned psychers is heresy. They don't care about motivation or innocence. He offers the knife to Harry, but you could save her. Right now. Kill us. Take her. The Inquisition will never need to know she was involved. He smiles wider. Or you could follow inquisitorial protocol, report her, watch her burn, prove you're a good servant. The cultist's voice drops to a whisper. So what's it worth, Harry? Your principles, your service, your soul? Because you can't save everyone, not her, not in the 41st millennium, and every choice you make damns someone. That's the truth they don't tell you. Goodness is impossible in a galaxy built on sacrifice. Harry's hand trembles. He looks at Mira, sees her shake her head slightly. Don't, she mouths. Don't compromise yourself for me. But Harry's already making the calculation. Save one person and betray the Inquisition. Or follow orders and become exactly what the galaxy expects. Another enforcer grinding innocence into fuel. The stormtroopers are tense, waiting for his command. Ren's finger is on the trigger, and Vasca's voice crackles through his vox bead. Dresden, status report. The cultist laughs. Choose quickly, wizard. The Imperium's patience is limited, and so, I think, is yours. Harry feels the weight of everything pressing down. The Emperor's judgment, Vasca's faith, his own desperate need to prove that goodness can exist even here. And he realizes with perfect, terrible clarity, this is the test, not the cult, not the violence. This, the moment where principle meets reality and someone has to bleed. The choice that defines whether Harry Dresden is still himself or just another weapon in the Imperium's arsenal. Harry raises his hand, magic crackling to life, not warp fire but his own power, cleaner now, marked by golden light but still fundamentally his. The cultist's smile widens. Yes, show them what you... Harry doesn't let him finish. Fire erupts, consuming the cultist instantly, burning so hot his scream evaporates before it forms. The other cultists scatter, but the stormtroopers open fire, their weapons cutting through robes and flesh with practiced efficiency. Harry moves through the chaos, shielding Mira with a barrier of force, cutting through cultists who try to stop him. He's not gentle, he's not hesitating, but he's not enjoying it either. This is just work now. Ugly, necessary work in a galaxy where ugliness is the only honest response. The last cultist falls, and Harry stands in the burning shrine, breathing hard, Mira alive behind him. Ren approaches slowly. She's a witness. Protocol requires... Harry cuts him off. She's coming with us. She gets debriefed, not executed. If the Inquisition has a problem with that, they can take it up with me. Ren stares at him. Then, slowly, impossibly, he nods. Understood. They extract, leaving the shrine burning, the cultists dead, and one innocent alive. When they return to the ship, Vasca is waiting. She looks at Mira, then at Harry, and her expression is unreadable. You deviated from protocol, she says quietly. Harry meets her eyes. I did. If that's heresy, execute me. But I'm not killing people for being kind. Vasca is silent for a long moment. Then, she'll be questioned. Thoroughly. If she's clean, she'll be inducted as an acolyte under my authority. If she's tainted, she's not, Harry says firmly. Vasca's lips twitch, almost a smile. We'll see. She turns to leave, then pauses. You chose to save her, but you also chose to burn the cultists without hesitation. No speeches, no mercy. You're learning, Dresden. She looks back at him. The 41st millennium doesn't allow perfect choices, only less terrible ones. Today you made one that didn't cost us everything. That's as close to victory as we get. She walks away, and Harry stands there, Mira safe behind him, cultist blood still smoking on his hands, and thinks, maybe that's enough. Maybe surviving with your soul intact is all the heroism this galaxy allows. And if that's the case, if he can hold on to that one principle while burning everything else, then maybe he can prove the Emperor's judgment was right. Maybe a good man can exist here, as long as he's willing to pay the price in fire and compromise and impossible choices that leave everyone bleeding. In the 41st millennium, Harry Dresden is learning, hope doesn't look like victory. It looks like surviving one more day without becoming the monster, and sometimes that has to be enough. 6 months after Secundus Prime, Harry Dresden has learned what it means to serve the Inquisition. He's burned 17 cult sites, executed 43 heretics, saved 12 people who probably didn't deserve to die. And every night, he dreams of Chicago, of his apartment, his cat, his friends who are either dead or living in a universe he'll never see again. The dreams used to hurt, now they're just ghosts, memories of a man who doesn't exist anymore. Harry stands on the observation deck of the Eternal Vigilance, watching a planet die below, not metaphorically, literally dying. An exterminatus in progress, the planet's surface burning under cyclonic torpedoes because a chaos cult infected too deeply to excise. 3 billion people, gone, because the Inquisition decided mercy was too expensive. Vasca stands beside him, silent. She doesn't apologize, doesn't explain, just watches alongside him, bearing witness to the galaxy's cruelty because someone has to. Does it ever stop hurting? Harry asks quietly. Vasca considers. No, but you learn to carry it. The alert comes 3 hours later. Warp breach. Massive psychic disturbance. Planet called Creven's Hope. Ironic name for what's about to become hell. The breach is catastrophic. A cult successfully completed a summoning ritual, tearing reality open and letting something through. Demons. Thousands of them. The local defense forces are being slaughtered. The civilian population is being converted or consumed. And at the breach's center, something vast is trying to push through. A greater demon, powerful enough to corrupt the entire system if it manifests fully. Vasca's tactical display shows the numbers. Population, 4 million. Time until full demonic manifestation, 3 hours. Time until Imperial reinforcements arrive, 2 weeks. The decision is obvious. Exterminatus. Burn the planet before the corruption spreads. But Vasca is staring at the display, her jaw tight. There are children down there, she says quietly. Millions of them, innocent. Harry looks at her, sees something he's never seen before. Doubt. Absolute paralyzing doubt. We could try to stop it, Harry says. Vasca turns to him, and her expression is almost pitiful. With what? We have 20 stormtroopers, 2 sanctioned psychers, and you, against thousands of demons, and a greater demon trying to manifest. She shakes her head. This is what the Imperium teaches us. When the infection is too deep, you amputate. You don't try to save the limb. Harry steps closer. What if we close the breach, cut off the connection to the warp before the greater demon manifests fully? No demon, no corruption, just people who need help cleaning up the mess. Vasca laughs, a broken sound. You'd need to enter the breach itself. Stand at the point where reality and the immaterium meet and force it closed through sheer psychic will. No one survives that, Dresden. The warp would consume you instantly. Harry meets her eyes. Unless I had help. Unless someone with absolute faith, someone who spent their whole life fighting this, stood with me and held the line. He pauses. You said I was supposed to prove something, that a good man can exist here. What if the proof isn't just surviving? What if it's trying when everyone else gives up? Vasca stares at him. For a long moment she's silent, and Harry can see the war happening behind her eyes. 30 years of inquisitorial training telling her to follow protocol, to burn the planet and move on, to accept that in the 41st millennium you save humanity by sacrificing humans. But something else is there too, something Harry's presence has been eroding slowly for 6 months, a question she's never let herself ask. What if there's another way? If we fail, she says slowly, the breach expands, the corruption spreads, we lose the planet and everyone on it anyway, plus ourselves. Harry nods. Yeah, but if we succeed, 4 million people live, including the kids. Vasca closes her eyes, and when she opens them, there's something new there, something that looks almost like hope. Emperor, forgive me, she whispers. Prepare for immediate deployment, all units, we're going in. The breach is exactly as horrific as Harry expected. A wound in reality screaming at the planet's capital city, pouring demons into the streets like an infected wound weeping pus. They descend in a drop pod. Harry, Vaska, Ren, Mira, now wearing acolyte armor, and a squad of stormtroopers who know they're probably going to die. The city is chaos, literally. Buildings melting, colors that shouldn't exist bleeding through walls, people running, screaming, changing into things that aren't people anymore. The demons are everywhere, pink horrors cackling as they throw warp fire, bloodletters carving through defenders with hell blades, plague bearers spreading disease with every touch. Harry unleashes his magic, and it burns cleaner than it ever has. Golden-edged flame cutting through demonic essence like a knife through smoke. But for every demon he destroys, 3 more pour through. They're losing ground, losing lives. One stormtrooper goes down, then another, their minds shattered by Proxim. 80 to the warp's naked presence. Ren takes a hellblade to the shoulder and keeps firing, his faith the only thing keeping him conscious. They reach the breach's epicenter. It's beautiful and terrible. A sphere of impossible geometry floating above a ritual site where cultists lie dead, their souls already consumed as payment. Reality and unreality swirl together, and through the gap, Harry can see the greater demon trying to force its way through, a lord of change, all wings and eyes and feathers made of lies, so vast it could hold a city in one claw. It sees Harry and laughs. The wizard, it says, its voice echoing in languages that predate language. The Emperor's pet anomaly. You think you can stop me? You're a door yourself. Open, vulnerable, one push and you'll be mine. Harry ignores it, turns to Vaska. Ready? She nods, drawing her power sword, its blade humming with faith-fueled energy. Together, they clasp hands, wizard and inquisitor, skeptic and zealot. 2 people who shouldn't work but somehow do, and together they reach for the breach. Harry pours his magic into it, trying to force reality to remember itself, to seal the wound. Vaska channels her absolute faith, her belief in the Emperor's protection made manifest as golden light. For a moment it's working. The breach shivers, starts to close. Then the greater demon strikes, not physically, psychically. It slams into Harry's mind with the force of a collapsing star, showing him every nightmare, every fear, every possible future where he loses. Chicago burning, his friends screaming, Vaska corrupted, her faith twisted into worship of the dark gods, Mira becoming a demon princess, and Harry himself, sitting on a throne of bones, wreathed in purple fire, a god of ruin because he thought he could be better than the galaxy. The demon whispers, "This is what you become. This is what trying to be good accomplishes. Give in, let me through, at least then the corruption will be honest." Harry screams, his will fracturing, his magic going wild. The breach expands. Vaska gasps, her faith wavering under the psychic assault. They're failing, losing, about to become just 2 more corpses in a galaxy built on corpses. But then Harry remembers something. The Emperor's words burned into his soul. You will remain yourself. Prove that it is possible. Not that it's easy. Not that it's safe. Just possible. And if Harry Dresden learned anything in 6 months of impossible choices, it's this. Sometimes surviving with your soul intact means burning everything else. Harry stops trying to fight the demon. Instead, he turns inward, grabs every scrap of power he has, the magic, the golden mark the Emperor left, the desperate stubborn humanity that won't die no matter how much the galaxy grinds at it. And he doesn't throw it at the demon, he throws it at the breach itself, not to close it gently, to collapse it, to tear the doorway down so violently that nothing on either side survives intact. Vaska feels what he's doing and understands instantly. Dresden, no. But she's already channeling with him, her faith and his magic merging into something neither warp nor materium, something that exists in the space between. The breach scream. The greater demon howls, trying to pull back, but it's too late. Reality snaps shut like a bear trap, and the demon is caught halfway through. For one perfect moment, it's trapped, half in the warp, half in the materium, existing in both and neither. Then Harry and Vaska push, together, and reality tears the demon apart. It dies screaming, its essence scattered across dimensions, and the breach collapses with a sound like thunder in reverse. Silence falls. The demons still in the city flicker and vanish, their connection severed. The survivors stare at the sky, watching reality heal itself, and someone starts praying. Then everyone is praying, thanking the Emperor for deliverance. Harry collapses, his magic spent, his body broken. Vaska catches him, her armor sparking, her sword shattered. She's bleeding from her eyes and nose, her faith pushed to limits she didn't know existed. But she's smiling, actually smiling. "You did it," she whispers. "You magnificent fool, you did it." Harry tries to laugh but only manages a cough. "We did it. Couldn't have... without you." He looks up at her, and despite everything, the pain, the exhaustion, the certainty that he's probably dying, he feels something he hasn't felt in months. Pride. Not the arrogant kind, the quiet kind, the kind that comes from knowing you tried when it mattered and somehow didn't fail completely. Mira and Ren reach them, helping them both to their feet. The stormtroopers are staring like they've witnessed a miracle. Maybe they have. In the 41st millennium, hope surviving is a miracle. Around them, the city's survivors emerge from hiding. 4 million people who should be dead but aren't. Children who'll grow up, families who'll stay together. All because 2 people decided protocol mattered less than trying. 3 weeks later, Harry stands in Vaska's office. She's out of armor, wearing simple robes, looking more human than he's ever seen her. "The Ordo Hereticus reviewed the incident," she says quietly. "Your actions were deemed irregular, but effective." She hands him a data slate. "You're being reassigned, a new cell, more difficult missions. They want to see if what you did can be replicated, if there's a better way to fight chaos than just burning everything." She meets his eyes. "You're going to be a test case, an experiment in whether the Imperium can evolve beyond what it's become." Harry takes the slate, looks at the mission parameters, impossible odds, guaranteed suffering, no promise of success, just the opportunity to try. He thinks about Chicago, about the life he lost, about the man he was and the man he's becoming, and he realizes he'll never go home. He'll probably die in some horrible way on some forgotten world, just another casualty in a war that's lasted 10,000 years. But maybe he can prove something first. Maybe he can show that even in hell, goodness is possible. Not easy, not safe, just possible. And sometimes that's enough. "When do I start?" Harry asks. Vaska almost smiles. "Tomorrow, but tonight you rest. You've earned it." Harry nods, leaves the office, stands on the observation deck, watching stars drift past, each one potentially hiding horrors beyond imagination. And he thinks about all the people down there, all the suffering, all the darkness. And somewhere inside, despite everything, Harry Dresden, wizard, survivor, fool, still believes he can help, still believes the fight matters, still believes that in a galaxy where there is only war, choosing to protect people instead of just killing monsters makes him something the 41st millennium desperately needs. A man who refuses to give up on humanity, even when humanity has given up on itself. The stars don't answer, they never do, but Harry watches them anyway. And for now, in this moment, that's enough. In the grim darkness of the far future, even hope must fight to survive. But as long as Harry Dresden breathes, it will never stop fighting. And that, in the end, is the only victory that matters.